Hey friends, welcome to Lean and Clean with Fitness Chef Christine. I'm your host Christine, and today is Memorial Day. So I thought, what is more American than apple pie? But we don't really need all the crust, that just adds more calories, and we want the flavor of the apples to shine. So today, we're gonna make a little bit healthier option with an apple crisp made with oatmeal. All right, super simple. So first we're gonna do a bunch of apples. I'll show you how I cut them after we make our topping. So for the topping, excuse me, we're going to need our oats. So we need 1 cup of old-fashioned oats. Don't get the quick oats. We want the good fiber in there. So 1 cup of those oats. I am using a dark coconut sugar. It's much better, in fact, that it's less processed than regular brown sugar. So I'm gonna add that coconut sugar in there. We're gonna add some cinnamon and nutmeg because we want it to have great flavor. So that's 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and a dash of nutmeg. Then we're going to add 1 cup of all-purpose flour. Now y'all should know by now that I'm very loyal to King Arthur unbleached, unbrominated flour. But any unbleached or unbrominated flour will work. And then we're going to just go ahead and mix that all together. And then I had melted 1 stick of butter. So it's melted and slightly cooled. We don't want it to be too hot because we don't want to start cooking everything. We want it just to be able to clump up. So we're gonna go ahead and make a little well. We're gonna add that to the center. And then we're just gonna quickly toss it together. So I just keep turning the bowl, tossing the butter, turning the bowl, and then we'll just quickly give it a mix. And what we're trying to do is incorporate that butter into all the dry bits so that we have it nice and moistened. And if you feel like it is still too dry, you can actually add a little bit more melted butter and you should be a-okay. Get the last bit drips of those out there. I like to have a little bit more in terms of fat to keep it together if need be. But once we get to this point, I'll work with my hands and then I can feel that I've got all that clumpiness in there, clumpy goodness. Just keep working it. And then we're gonna set that aside to cool down even more. And I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna move this out of the way, and I'll show you how I cut up these apples. First of all, you could use an apple peeler liqueur, those work very well. But basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut the bottom off. You could also use a vegetable peeler to cut off the peel, but I find this is a lot faster. So you cut the bottom off so you have a nice flat point to work with, and then we're just gonna go around. Just go around. Like I said, if you have an apple peeler core, it becomes a lot easier, but if you don't, then this is a great way to go. We always have our garbage bowl. So today I have my red, white, and blue garbage bowl. And then we're just gonna slice down, and you can slice around that core. And then in there, really I should have sliced the other way, but that's okay. However we accomplish it, it's a good way to go. And then we just slice around. Then we'll come around here and slice this over. Then we'll slice around the core this way. Put those in there. And then we come and we just get our slices here. So we'll continue doing that. This is what I call my baby chef's knife because I have such small hands. Clearly I have bigger ones, but it's nice to use some small ones once in a while. Okay, we're just gonna go around. It gives a little bit more control than our larger one. A little more work as well. We're just gonna come around. So we're just gonna get all that peel off. Now these you could actually put into your air fryer with a little cinnamon sugar and they make little tasty snacks. Okay, so we're gonna come around, just cutting by that core. And then whatever I don't use, I put in the compost ball so that we have that going on. We can compost it all. If you find you have a little bit of extra peel on there, it's not a big deal. That in there. This will probably be the last one I do because I have quite a lot in there. And then we're going to take about a ½ cup of sugar. And for this one, you can use the same sugar, but for this one I'm using date sugar. I like to use alternative sugars. It changes the flavor depending on what you use. Like that. Now I'm probably going to use half of that, and then I'll give it a little taste and see how sweet it is. And then we'll make up our mind how much of it we want to put in there. All right, so let's give it a little taste. I think that's perfect. So about a 1/4 cup used. And then sprinkle some cinnamon across. And a little more nutmeg. Remembering that we always want to season every part of the ingredients as we go. And that's true for savory as well as sweet. All right, once we have that on there, we'll move this out of the way. We're gonna bring back our topping. Now you're gonna squeeze it and drop it in little clumps. You have to be heavy-handed with this. You want it to have quite a bit. Now, if you're using a smaller pan, you could put some of the topping on the bottom and some on top. I particularly like it all on the top because I like it to get nice and crumbly. I have another topping that I really like too that doesn't have any oatmeal in it. But for this one, I really like the oatmeal in there just for that extra health benefit. There we go. All right, so now we'll put this in a 350-degree oven until everything is nice and bubbly, and we'll keep checking it. I'll show you what that looks like at the end. In the meantime, we're gonna get started on the next thing. While our apple crisp is baking, I thought we could make a nice yogurt parfait. Add a little bit of Greek yogurt so that we get our protein in there, and then we'll get some good fresh fruit in there. To the raspberries, we're gonna be adding some chia seeds, so it's a little bit thicker. And then the blueberries we'll just do nice and whole. So I think about 4 scoops in there. This will feed multiple people. And we're gonna get some, we're gonna drizzle some of this honey in there. So we'll get some of that honey in there. It's about a tablespoon. And since it's feeding more people than one, we're just gonna add 2 tablespoons. So that's good and sweet. There we go. Set that aside. And then we're gonna just whisk that together. So we're just gonna give it a nice little mix. And I got a pretty little cup here that my husband usually uses for his whiskey, but we're going to use it this way. I'm going to go ahead and put some of that in there. So that's just our sweetened Greek yogurt. I'm going to take our raspberries. I'm going to mash them with a fork to make a little puree. And if the seeds bother you, you can pass them through a sieve and take out the seeds, but they don't bother me. So I'm good with just the way they are. We keep mashing them until we get a nice, smooth puree here. Takes a few seconds. And then once we're good with that, we're going to add about a small handful of chia seeds to that. We'll let those bloom. We'll let those rehydrate, and it becomes almost like a gelatin consistency. But the chia seeds add a little bit of extra nutrition for us. Move those aside, and a little more texture. It's going to thicken everything up. So I'm going to go ahead and add that just right over top. And you will see our theme of red, white, and blue here. I'm just going to push it down in. So that was about 10 raspberries. And I used about half of it, so the other half will go in the next one. And then we're going to go ahead and layer that up with a little bit more of this mixture here. And I'm just going to push it down in there to get the layered effect that we want. And then I'm going to top it with some fresh blueberries. Now all of these have been washed in a vinegar baking soda solution, so they're nice and clean. We want that. And then we're just going to top it with a little bit more here. And at this point, you could add some flaked coconut, you could do little nuts, whatever you like, but it's a very quick dessert, and I love the fact that it's red, white, and blue. It stays with a nice holiday theme, and it's delicious, so you should give it a try. And because I'm so nice and willing to sacrifice myself, I'll try it for you. I love it. Now, when I make this stuff for breakfast, I use a little bit less honey because it's not so much desserty as it is breakfasty, but it's fantastic. And you see how quick it is. All right, I'm gonna come back and show you what the apple crisp looks like. But before I do that, I wanna talk to you a little bit about the fact that I use several different kinds of apples. So, just so we know, I use a Pink Lady apple, I use Granny Smith apples, and I use some Honeycrisp apples. The reason I use different variety of apples is you want some that are sweeter and juicier, some that are a little bit more tart and will hold up better. So you get that nice bite and some softness at the same time. Remember, we're not trying to make applesauce, we're trying to make apple crisp. So you want some of the apples to hold up a little more than others. Okay, so I had forgotten to mention that before, and I will be back and show you what our final product looks like. So stick with me. All right, it's been 45 minutes and I just took it out. This is what it looks like. It's smoking hot though. There we go. Nice and crunchy on the top. Apples are nice and soft. And because I use coconut sugar, it's got a tiny little bit of coconut flavor to it. So if that's not your jam, then just use regular brown sugar. It's not a big deal. Because you think about how much you're using versus how much it's making, and you're not really getting a whole lot of it. I like to top mine with a little bit of whipped cream or Greek yogurt that's sweetened a little bit. I think it's just perfect. So I hope you'll give it a try. It's even good for breakfast. All right, give it a shot. Yummy. My friends, thank you for being with me. If you have not already subscribed or followed the podcast, I would sincerely appreciate you doing that, and leave a review if you don't mind, because that helps us spread the word. If you really loved it, share it. And I will be with you again. Many blessings to all. And a special note of thanks to the families that have lost people in the military. Much love. Enjoy your Memorial Day.